All right. Hello, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Razorwind with my co-host Enatsu Shiroi here with our guest for tonight, New York Times bestseller Blaine Lee Pardoe.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Hey, if
Oh, it's
anything,
easier than
we
watching
thank
the
you.
presidential debate.
I mean, that is true. I saw the bingo card you put up on Twitter. That was hilarious. I shared it with Shiroi here. We got a good kick out of it. But yeah, um, here. If you want to read chat here, I'll post it in here, and then I'll show Shiroi's end of it as well.
I have a total of 3 chats on my screen right now.
Yep. Here we go. Yeah. Here we go.
See.
All right. So, Mr. Pardo, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself to our chat.
Well, I'm Blaine Pardoe. I'm a writer in a lot of different genres, be it military history, true crime, political thrillers, military sci-fi. I'm probably best known for work that I did in the BattleTech universe. I wrote in that IP for 36 years. Until it was canceled. I now write in a whole bunch of different series. I've kind of proven that I'm not cancelable anymore and having a good time. This is the best time I've ever had. I'm cranking out. Last year, I think I did 9 books. This year, I'll probably hit around 7 or 8, depending on publishing schedules. So I'm having a great time. I just write full time.
That's impressive.
That is
geez.
impressive, my God.
It sounds impressive. When you're actually in it, it's terrifying.
Well, terrifying and impressive, I imagine, can be, there's a bit of overlap.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a little bit. It's chaotic at times.
I'm sure it can be. I mean, especially with dealing with deadlines and such, and then getting back with the
Well,
editors.
there's different edit passes on books, and a lot of people don't realize, but like when there's an audio book, the author has to go through and listen to 13 or 14 hours of someone reading their book back to them. You have to listen to it to make sure they got the names and things correct and stuff. So there's a lot of things like that that eat up a lot of time.
And then
And
I
sometimes
imagine,
these things all happen at once. So it's just that's part of the chaos.
that must be a probably several 100-hour undertaking right there.
I don't enjoy listening to someone else read my books only because and I have fantastic narrators for all the series that I do. I just
do.
happen to be a person that I know how the characters are supposed to sound, etc. And when somebody else reads them, it's not what I have in my head, and I always have to kind of fight that a little bit.
I can only imagine.
I can imagine.
But I imagine it must at least be somewhat interesting to see different interpretations.
It is. My wife always explains it this way. She goes, "You know more about your imaginary friends than you do your actual friends at this point," and she's not that far off.
I can relate.
Oh. uh, yeah. So when did you first start getting into writing? Like, what got you started?
I actually started, a little bit in high school doing stuff, but when I was in college, I got a job on the student newspaper. I was a business student, but I didn't tell them that. I got a job doing editorial columns, and I got to do book reviews, album reviews, concert reviews. It was a blast. I also worked for the campus radio station. I wrote commercials, and that
Really?
was a lot of fun. They paid five
Sounds like it.
dollars to write a commercial script, and it was fun to do. I did that stuff, and then finally, my last year in college, the professor who was in charge of the student newspaper is like, I've never seen you in any of my classes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a business student. I don't want to starve and be a journalist.
Yeah, that's
Why would I
true.
want to be a journalist? You're going to starve to death. At that point, they were making just above the poverty level wages in the 1980s. And he was like, well, I probably shouldn't have you on the paper, but the problem is you've been doing it for 3 years at this point, and everybody likes your stuff. So, let's just not talk about it. Okay. And I'm like, you're the one that brought it up. So, not a problem here. But I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun doing that. And then as soon as I got out of college, I have been a big gamer for years. I mean, I still have my white box edition of Dungeons and Dragons on the shelf.
Oh, very nice.
I was playing the Star Trek role playing game that FASA put out. I typed it up, a scenario set for it, and they said, "We'll buy this, no problem."
Oh,
But
wow.
have you heard about battle droids? And I said, no, I haven't. And they said, okay, well, we're changing the name to BattleTech. We'll send you a copy. We're going to be doing something called a technical readout. We'd like you to take a shot at it too. So there were 5 of us that wrote. That was the first book that I actually got printed, was the first technical readout for BattleTech back in the day.
Really?
That
Yeah.
is
Oh, wow.
sick.
That
So
is
that was
really cool.
That was 1985. And so after that, they just kept handing me more and more work to do, and I kept doing it. I also wrote some Twilight 2000 stuff. I've done some stuff for Space 1899. I've done just a bunch of stuff for a lot of different game systems. Really enjoyed doing it, and it was always fun. BattleTech started doing novels, and every year I would go and grovel for a novel. I called it, throw out
Grovel for
pitches.
a novel.
Go to Gen Con, excuse me, up in
Oh, no, it's
Milwaukee.
fine.
Throw up your suggestions to the editors. Every year I got shot down. One year I went in and I had a couple ideas I really wanted to do. And then I had one that I threw together like the night before I got on the airplane. And that was the one that they bought. So I ended up doing Highlander Gambit. And then I started writing BattleTech novels as well. So that got me into doing that genre in terms of military sci-fi. So I moved out of doing gaming supplements and books, really moving into doing novels, and that's where I've been, is doing novels and nonfiction books.
Nice. Very
So
nice.
you've
Yeah.
been doing this for quite some time then.
It's been fun. It was a hobby that paid a little side money throughout the years. And it was, I want to say it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago, I retired. I used to work at an accounting firm, Ernst & Young. I retired from there, uh, and decided I'd just do writing full time. So it was an early retirement for me, but I've been busier, I think, now than I am when I was working for the firm.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, you've been through what, eight book? You got through 8 books in 1 year.
Yeah,
That's not an easy feat.
8 or 9. I don't count them anymore. I probably had 100 books at this point total that I've either contributed to or written. So it's a lot of fun. A lot of stuff,
Quite the
especially
portfolio.
the old stuff is so out of print now too. Nowadays everything stays in print forever, but back in the day, a lot of those game companies and supplements, some of the stuff I did a long time ago for the smaller companies, they don't exist anymore. Neither do the games. So
Yeah, because
it's a little.
that would have been before everything like was able to have digital versions and all of that everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, when I started, the first books I did for FASA, I was doing on a typewriter.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
We didn't have, I
Holy
mean, the
shit.
word processors we had at college which we got the last year I was at college, had 8-inch floppy disks, that it was just, I've watched the technology change and morph so much over the years. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think like
So was it all that difficult or all that different switching from typing on a typewriter to going to a computer, or was it
It
about
was
the
so
same?
much easier. I do not miss whiteout. I don't think these kids know what it was like to have to white out a sentence and then type over it and stuff. It's amazing what we had to go through in the age of the typewriter.
I never had to use a typewriter, but I do remember in school teachers whiting out things in an essay, and then I'd have to like write over it.
You know, it's the weirdest thing. I never was introduced to whiteout growing up. I just learned basic editing techniques.
Oh yeah, well, I've had to retype pages and pages of stuff over the years on a typewriter. It was great when word processors finally became more mainstream. I was so happy to have a computer at home and be able to crank out stuff on a computer. It was so much better.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Oh, sorry. What were we gonna say, Shira?
I was just gonna move on to the next question that we had.
Oh, all right.
What?
Oh, it's okay. So
Now you
yeah,
mentioned the first book that you wrote. That was BattleTech, wasn't it? Or
Yeah, it was a tech readout. It's a book. It's got pictures of the mechs and vehicles, etc., the game stats, and little stories about the mech warriors and the drivers and stuff who commanded them and stuff. Some of it was game stat stuff, but a lot of it was what I call fluff. It was background information in the universe. And of course, BattleTech had only really been a product for a year at that point. So it was a lot of fun to be able to do stuff back then. You had much more of a clean slate to work with. Now there's so much canon out there for it. These older game universes, when you think of Warhammer, you think of BattleTech, etc., it'd be hard for a lot of people to even get into that and do it well, because there's such a wealth of material that you have to process before you can even hit the ground.
yeah,
I can only
I
imagine.
remember like whenever people like Warhammer was one of those things that I always looked at, thought it looked really cool, but I also knew just the sheer undertaking that it was to
Oh
get
yeah,
into.
I've. It's funny. I've had family members ask me, "Oh, what are those things you're painting?" And I'm like, if I had to explain to you, it would be pretty much a history lecture just to get through it.
Yeah, the lore is, I think, more important than the game in some respects for many people.
Oh yeah.
When you're writing in any IP, it's that way, and you have to balance. You have a balancing act you have to do to kind of shift between game product versus lore support. But people want the background; they want the lore, and I've seen it with BattleTech. There's been a number of competing products that came out in the last 10 years. And the problem is they've put out good games, but they don't have good backgrounds. They don't have the IP doesn't spend the time to really generate the background. And the one that we're working on right now, Land and Sea, our whole focus was let's build the universe first in terms of fiction. Then let's introduce the game, the graphic novel, and all the other stuff, because then we can, people will already know what we're talking about in general and have at least dipped their toes in the water, so to speak.
Lore is definitely very important when you're building a new universe or new IP.
Oh, yeah.
For me, the lore was always one of my favorite parts.
I think it's great because it's a great way for people to engage without having to spend a lot of money. You don't have to go buy all the miniatures. You can read the lore, read the books, get into it, and then decide where you're going to settle, what unit you're going to create or paint or whatever. And that was always kind of cool. I liked what Warhammer did over the years, but God, during COVID, I started going through the Black Library and started reading books.
So many
And
good
I was
books.
like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to go. I don't know, and there's so much out there that
Oh
quite
yeah.
literally it's not digestible at this point.
So I know it's not on the list of questions here, but then let me ask you this then real quick. What is your favorite entry in the Black Library that you've read?
Really started diving in. I don't remember the book's names, but I started diving in the Horus Heresy because everybody
Oh,
said
that's
that
an
was
excellent
really
one.
cool.
Yeah, that one's really good.
And they were good. But the language is so laden with the Warhammer lingo and stuff that it is a ponderous read until you get used to it.
Yeah, it's very Shakespearean in a way, very Victorian.
Very British.
Very British, yes, aggressively so. Especially with the powdered wigs, you see like the aristocrats in that universe and everything, and just the way, like they don't call it a generator; they got to call it a genitorium.
Everything's an Orium. Everything's an Orium.
Pretty much, yeah. Which is
Everything's a temple. Everything's an Orium. It does get a little heavy laden, but
yeah.
It's interesting. I found that I like when I read about the Horus Heresy in some of the source books, I actually found that I enjoyed that more than reading the novels in that case.
Yeah, the lore for the Horus Heresy is very interesting. I liked how for a time there was a great rift. Like there was warp storms keeping Gilliman and Sanguinius from regrouping with the other loyalists. So for a while there, they made their own empire. It's really interesting.
Yeah. It's a very fascinating universe. I just haven't been able to wade in enough to where I can fully appreciate it yet.
I understand. Warhammer's a lot to chew on. It's a lot to chew on. I remember, I think after a couple years of looking at the lore, my faction I finally decided to settle upon were the Space Wolves as my army. They're like space werewolf Vikings. I just thought that was really cool.
I actually got myself a boxed set of Kill Team, and I'm getting ready to jump in on that.
Oh, Kill Team's a good
played
entry.
It at Gen Con a few years ago. That's more my speed than a full Warhammer battle. Some of those Warhammer battles drag out forever. I'm almost done painting my Adeptus Titanicus set. So, you got to have big stompy mechs, although theirs are ridiculous.
Oh, they are. Oh my God. The fact that they have like entire crews for those things and they're just massive.
Yeah. But, I got to play it a couple times just for the grins.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So for the next question here, I wanted to say, like, now I know everyone's got like a favorite book that they've written in their career with any author. What would you say were some like a book or books that you've enjoyed writing over the years?
Every year it changes a little bit. I would say the Land and Sea series has been just a fantastic passion project for me, and the Blue Dawn series is pure political mayhem, and I really enjoy that. That's where I dump all my real world politics stuff into, is in Blue Dawn, and I like doing that. I just started this series with Mike Barron, who's one of the original writers in The Punisher. We just finished our first novel together called Tenure. That's now, that's got a real sweet spot for me. It's just really interesting. So I'm starting to shift over more towards that a little bit as my favorite. But I think the Land and Sea stuff is just the new trilogy that we have coming out, and I just finished book 2 of that, is phenomenal. I mean, it is nail biting stuff, and it really ups the war as the war it finishes its first year, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just having, on any given day, my opinion of what's my favorite changes depending on what I'm working on.
Right.
It's
That's
like picking
understandable.
between your kids. It depends on who's been the nicest recently.
Well, there's good, it's little things. I was trying to tell my wife at dinner, and she hasn't read the new book, and I said I have this great scene, and I really like it. And she goes, "Well, what is it?" And I said, "I have a cop interrogating somebody." And he tells the other person in the room, she goes, "What do you want me to do?" And he goes, "Prepare to pick up some teeth." And he slides on some brass knuckles.
Oh God.
I will say you do
Once I
definitely.
typed that line, that became my favorite scene, and that will be until I stumble across the next scene that I do. But that was one that really resonated with me. So
Oh God.
it's weird how certain things kind of click with you, and you're just like, how am I going to play that out? And what line do you use as a character slides on brass knuckles and he's about to interrogate somebody? Just tell your associate, be prepared to pick up some teeth. It's little things like that.
Now, sometimes you just think about one specific scene.
I will say I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I will say I do definitely like a lot of your work that I've read up to this point. Because I will admit, I actually learned about you recently through your first interview with Razor Fist, and I started reading your Blue Dawn series, and now I'm reading Land and Sea. I'm almost on Splashdown. My God, it's so good. I can't wait to read the other books. I'm a binge reader. You're welcome. And but the brutality that you have in your books, I'm kind of a sadistic individual when it comes to fictitious violence, and I gotta say, like, with some of the scenes where, especially when like a bad guy is really getting it, I get all giddy and I just start clapping like, oh yes.
Well, the one where we're breaking prisoners out of the supermax and the deck cord gets wrapped around the assailant's head and it gets set off and it blows her head off. When Keely lands on the roof and is like, looks over and sees this headless body, and she's like, "Well, there's something you don't see every day." It's little stuff like that that I enjoy. It's, it's violent. Yeah, it's carnage. But that's exactly how people really do think.
Yeah. I just need to address chat real quick. Hello, Phalanx. Thank you for the raid. How are you all doing? We're currently interviewing Blaine Pardoe, a brilliant writer. Brilliant science fiction, history, and true crime author. Hello, Raiders. Hello, how are you all doing? Yeah, sorry about that, Blaine. Sorry about that.
No
problem. But yeah, I love that those moments. I gotta say, like, I haven't, and I will say this too, I haven't had a writer get me that excited since Tom Clancy.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. He was definitely one of my favorite authors. You are definitely up there. You are in my top 3.
I have a lot of fun. I've spent a lot of time reading Dark Book reviews.
Oh yeah, your writing does remind me a lot of his.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
He also did a lot of political fiction, right?
Yes, he did. He did. Actually,
I mostly knew him for a lot of the games he was associated with, specifically the Splinter Cell series.
Yeah, those were good. But yeah. So what I did want to ask. So I'm sure, because I know anyone who's in a creative process, sometimes you're not always going to like your own work. So has there any books that you felt like you've had any what's your least favorite book or books you've written in your career?
There's really 2, and it was during BattleTech, and it's both cases where the authors that were doing them failed, and they reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you rewrite this or add to it or finish it in 2 weeks?"
Oh God!
2 weeks. That is an ask.
And how much money does it pay? I hate being mercenary about it, but you end up looking at that way. One was by Blood Betrayed. Mel Odom wrote it. He was supposed to be writing a single book, but he was doing something that some authors do where they try to sneak in a trilogy. They write the story so long that it they've only covered the first third of their outline in one book. Oops, my mistake. Now you're going to have to give me 2 more books.
So is
And
that a
Oof.
common thing in writing?
it was in the 90s. There were little ploys like that. I wrote, so they handed me his manuscript and I had to chop, 2/3 of it down and then actually write the rest of the book based on his original outline, which I had to tweak extensively. The other one was Star-Lord. My name doesn't appear on the cover, but it's on the inside text. That was written by a friend of the owner of FASA, and it was just such a hot, steamy turd. I mean, it was like, it was so. The one scene I remember when I read it, and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Is they had a clan warrior wearing stiletto heels, sprinting across a grassy field, and I'm like, first of all, none of that ever works. None of these things work. It's a clan female warrior is not going to wear stiletto heels, and she's not going to
No,
sprint in them
no.
ever. It was that level of crap. And I had like
Is
2 weeks to fix it, and it was just horrible.
Oh God, that would. Oh my God, I've.
And I was so glad my name wasn't on the cover of that one. Now, by
I
Blood
I would be
Betrayed,
relieved.
a lot of people like. They love. There's people that always reach out to me, and they're like, "Oh, I love By Blood Betrayed." I
Oh,
don't know.
Cassius knows about that book too. Chat. Uh,
I just didn't enjoy those books, but it was mostly because I had to fix other people's problems.
well, at least it was a situation where, it's at least, you can take more pride in the fact that it wasn't necessarily in your fault that it was, not very good.
No, and honestly, like I said, a lot of people liked By Blood Betrayed. Star-Lord never picked up, and I'm glad.
Eh,
It just wasn't a thing. And but it was fun to do. It's good work and it's good experience to be able to do stuff like that.
I suppose you have to have the lows in order to have the highs.
Yeah.
gotta have the good with the
Those were
bad.
definitely lows.
So so what authors inspired you to get into writing?
This will sound funny. Hunter S. Thompson.
Oh, he's a good writer.
He's a great writer.
He's amazing.
My freshman year in college, I remember we would sit around drinking and reading out loud, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. And one night we had been reading The Great Shark Hunt, and it mentioned that Hunter hung out at the Hotel Jerome bar in Aspen. And we actually called there and had him paged. And whoever picked up the phone told us to fuck and hung up. And I've always liked to believe that was my moment when I actually talked to Hunter S. Thompson. Because I don't know for sure, but I zoomed in on that. But Hunter S. Thompson, the guy was an absolute poet with the language, etc. I really admire him.
He is a tremendous writer. I mean, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I'm pretty sure wasn't that also supposed to be a if I remember right, that was supposed to be a criticism of counterculture, right?
Yeah.
The fail of the hippie movement.
Yeah, but Hunter, it wasn't even that. It was just supposed to be him covering this race, the Mint 500 or whatever, and then it just
kind of devolved.
This bizarre thing, and a lot of people have labeled it for different things, but I tend to think Hunter was like, I was just writing what I was writing at the time, and it was brilliant. I'll
He's a
never
brilliant
forget
writer.
the opening. I mean, because we just have read it so many times. I was somewhere around Barstow near the edge of the desert when the drugs began to take hold.
Oh,
It's just like, what a great opening line.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Too much fun.
Yeah, but Hunter S. Thompson is a phenomenal writer. So,
I used to like Harry Turtledove, but Harry's politics
oh
have
God,
gone.
Harry. Oh
Harry,
no, Harry.
it was always a dream of mine to write in an anthology with Harry, which I did. I wrote. We both had stories in the Leviathans anthology, but he has gone so Stalinistic, goose stepping crazy. It makes it really
Oh,
hard
he
now to enjoy some of his stuff.
So, for those of you who don't know, Harry Turtledove, if you follow the YouTube channel Alternate History Hub, he talks about them a lot. But Harry Turtledove is known for his insane but entertaining alternate history novels.
Yeah,
Yeah. My favorite one is The Aliens That Invade During World War II.
that was awesome, and his
It was
whole
so good.
series about the rise where the South wins the Civil War and then goes through World War I and World War II. And, it's not the Nazis we have to deal with, it's the Confederacy. I thought it was a brilliant series.
Oh, wow.
You know, but he's a guy that is so, he's against guns now. He's against all these, he's against anything conservative. And I'm like, you do know that the book that put you on the map was Guns of the South, where you had time travelers taking AK-47s back to General Lee, right? Like, but now you're like Mr. Anti everybody. It's like that's where you made your money. He's kind of like what he reminds me of a lot of the people in Hollywood who are like, we need to ban guns. And I'm like, then stop being in movies where you're playing an action hero and shooting people up.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's like someone who
It
runs a
certainly
steakhouse,
is
but you
kind
want to
of
be a
odd.
vegan.
It is really strange how a lot of people who tend to like a lot of people who are like involved in a lot of action movies and stuff like that, like things that involve a lot of violence, guns especially. It always seems that they end up also more often than not being very anti-gun long term.
Well, you look at Jim Carrey, right after, he did a very violent movie, he comes out and goes, well, we got to ban guns. We need to trim back on violence. And I'm like, yeah, because you've already cashed out, like,
Action
I
movies
don't
sell.
understand. I don't understand how you can do that, like, and even keep a straight face about it.
Yeah,
Oh God,
I just don't understand it.
it's ridiculous how people always like they make it big doing something, and then they pull the ladder up and start talking about how those what that was just so awful, the kinds of things people would do back then.
Yeah, don't be hypocritical. If you're gonna put out product like that, embrace what you're putting out.
Exactly.
And just say, yeah, I'm totally doing this to make money, and it's okay.
Let's see here. So next one is how'd you get hired by well we that pretty much, well, you mentioned it earlier how you got into BattleTech and hired by Catalyst.
Yeah.
So we'll go with, what was it like writing BattleTech?
I enjoyed it for many years. I'd say the last 3 or 4 years I didn't enjoy it as much. There was a lot of weird, unnecessary tension editorially, but for many years I enjoyed it. when I was canceled and exiled from BattleTech and etc., there were a few days there where I was like, I'm gonna miss this, and then I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm gonna go out and create my own mecha universe, and I'm gonna have blackjack and hookers and have fun.
You said it before I could.
Like this place is going to be lit, but there are times that I wish I could do some BattleTech stuff. There's some stories that I definitely wanted to do, but couldn't. But the last few years I was there, the editorial pushes were very woke, for lack of better definition. I was being told, you've had all male characters for 5 chapters. Change the sex of some of these characters so we can have some women in the scenes. And it was like, it's military sci-fi. There are going to be times where only men are in the room. There's going to be times where there's only women in the room. There's going to be times where it's men and women. So who the hell cares if for 5 chapters it's only men that are in the chapters? I've written millions of words in this universe. I assure you, this isn't going to be a driving factor. But there were decisions that were kind of pushed towards me, and I pushed back for what it's worth.
Now you can
And
only
said,
push
no,
back for
Yeah.
so long.
No,
well, you can't change. Why change a character's sex unless it is pertinent to the actual story?
I agree. I agree.
It's very absurd to do so.
It really
I feel like
is.
making big changes to characters. It just never makes sense for really any. I feel like almost any series.
I think there's a belief out there that if you have gays and trans and more women and this and that, all these things, that you're somehow tapping into some market that has, wanted to join this particular hobby or franchise or IP, but has somehow just felt excluded. And I'm like, we've always had strong female characters in the BattleTech universe from day one, starting with Natasha Karinsky. We've always had, a very diverse universe. It covers many different nationalities, etc. Nobody's ever been excluded from being in the universe or joining in on playing a game. And I felt that's with the gaming industry as a whole. There's not, I keep hearing, well, we've got to tear down all these barriers. And I'm like, what barriers? I've been to dozens of conventions. Never once have I seen somebody sit at a table and go, well, you got to kick that guy out. I don't agree with the fact he's wearing a dress or the fact he's doing whatever. It was always like, hey, you want to play? Let's throw some dice.
Yeah.
Gaming is a hobby that has always been inclusive. And there's this whole group out there that goes, oh, no, it's never been inclusive.
It's gaslighting is what it is.
It is. And I mean, as someone who's been done tabletop gaming myself, I mean, we've had people we've had men, women, we've had trans women. I mean, hell, one of the people who told me how to play 40K better was a trans woman. I didn't care. It
doesn't matter. Nobody cares because it's like, hey, we're just happy you're here to throw some dice.
Exactly. And that's what I love about nerd culture. It's accepting to everybody.
It is, but it's gotten weirdly toxic in the last few years because there's groups that go, well, but you have to make these changes now because I want to be a part of this. And I don't really think these groups that are pushing for this actually are buying product. I don't think they're a significant
They never
market.
are.
Mm-hmm.
They just want to have something to complain about. And there's a lot of that goes on.
Yeah. I love how Cassius just said in chat, it all boils down to your sphere mech versus my mad cat.
Right. It's always that.
Yeah. Boy. So yeah, let's talk about so while you're working with BattleTech, what were some of your favorite mech designs? Because I know you I think I've heard you worked on a few of the designs yourself as well.
I did a bunch of because they would hand us artwork and say, here, come up with the stats for them. There's a bunch that I really loved over the years. I mean, I'm a big fan, obviously, of a Marauder or an Atlas because those are the classics. But I love the Penetrator. I love the Crockett. Um, some others, that sprinkled in over the years. People hate the Hussar. I created the Hussar. I love the Hussar because I've taken Hussars out and they move like 15. They're so damn fast. You can get to behind the enemy. You can disrupt an enemy's movement by forcing them to react to you being behind them, even though you've got just a pea shooter for a weapon. But you start shooting people from behind, it gets their attention. So depending on the game I'm playing, it's going to determine what mechs I put on the field back in the day. Now, I don't play BattleTech anymore just because I can't promote in any way, shape, or form, that product line. But back in the day, those were the ones I went with.
Is that difficult? Feeling like you can't really, because like I imagine you still must have at least some personal love for BattleTech, despite the fact that it's kind of become a captured thing. Does that make it? Is it a bit difficult for you at all?
It's a little bit. I never say anything bad about BattleTech itself. I like BattleTech. The IP is fantastic. The company that currently licenses it, I don't have anything positive to say about them. They're the ones that mistreated me. BattleTech itself, the franchise, I have a great deal of love and respect for, but I'm not going to do things that help line their pockets. And that's just the way things are at this point.
I can definitely understand.
Yeah, I can understand that as well. I mean, especially if you're working for like a group organization, then
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my fair share of series that I once loved, but can no longer, in good conscience, support.
There you go. See that, and that's how I am. It's crazy for me to support that. And it's most of the fans understand. I still occasionally get some fan who's like, "Hey, why don't you come join our game and stuff?" And I'm like, "You guys don't understand. I'm not going to come join your game. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't like you guys. It's just I can't be out there seen promoting this product after the company that has the license for it treated me like this."
Yeah. Oh, someone in chat is asking, do you have a YouTube channel? They want to follow you if you do.
Oh, I do a channel called and it's under it's a sub channel of the Council of Future Conflicts. I do an occasional show where it's called Writers Fix Problems, and I interview a lot of up and coming authors. I interview authors who are very well established, and I talk to them. I read their books, review their books in front of them, and then we talk about the writing process because for me that's kind of fun to talk about where they get their ideas, what for the books, and
nice.
Where they're going with their series and stuff. I haven't done it in about a month and a half, mostly because I got sucked into reading a 5-book series. And I couldn't stop reading it, so I'm behind on my reading backlog. I try to focus a lot on Iron Age authors more recently, just because they're a hell of a lot more fun.
It definitely is a lot easier to make something great when you're not held down by a bunch of bureaucracy.
Yeah. I'm gonna post the link to the channel right now. Post that here in chat if anybody would like to check out the Future Conflict channel. Go. Righty. I'm definitely subscribing to the channel.
I'll put that on mine.
Because as someone who wants to get into writing themselves, this will definitely...
It's fun. We talk a lot about the conflicts going on in the world, and we talk about the ones you generally don't know about.
Interesting.
and why they're important, or can you ignore them?
Right.
Mm.
So,
I do feel like we sufficiently covered your falling out with Catalyst, but is there anything else you'd like to add on to it?
You know, no, I think most people by now have probably heard what
Mm.
happened. Um, and it's there's nothing new other than I ended up in April going to court with my stalker to get my protective order
oh yeah, the
extended.
stalker. Yeah.
And yeah, that happened. The court agreed with me that this person still does represent a threat. Um, and this is the second time that's happened that we've gotten that validation from the court. So, it's been taken care of. Hopefully that this person will go out and get some help. They clearly need it. Um, but yeah, there's that stuff is still happening in the background. I just don't make a big deal about it because every time I mention it, this person who claims they're not stalking me watches the videos and then goes off and rails about what a terrible person I am. So it's
Ah,
crazy. When you're dealing with, there's a lot of crazy people out there.
Yes, there are.
And we had a famous comic book artist kill himself in the last couple of weeks because
Oh
of
dear God.
stalkers, harassing him online to the point where that was his only way out. Um, these people don't, they run amok on the internet and they cause a lot of havoc. They ruin people's lives. They disrupt them. They disrupt their capability to earn income and things along those lines. They can lie with impunity. There's a lot of that going on out there, and it's in the comics gate space. It's
Confiscate's
definitely
pretty
out
bad.
there if you're a conservative like myself.
Yeah.
it certainly is incredible how much time some people have on their hands.
It really is.
Well, what you find out is a lot of these people that are doing this, to be perfectly blunt, don't contribute to society. They don't have jobs. They are living with mom or dad or both. They're in their 30s or 40s. And so all they do is they're on the internet all day. And honestly, if it wasn't for Twitter and Reddit, they wouldn't exist. They would be people that no one knows even as are around. It's the only place they enjoy being, and they thrive on any sort of response, even if it's negative. They thrive on it. They
Oh
love the
yeah.
fact that people are pissed at them or hate them or call them names, so that to them that's attention, and they're so weirdly wired for that need for attention that they're just on the internet all day, and they will do and say things that are ridiculous. um, yeah, it's amazing to me. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, if the lengths they'll go to is insane. Like, what's one person that comes to mind? One that a lot of people, especially in the video game, like the gamer community, really cannot stand. What was her name? Not Anita Sarkeesian, the other one, Zoe Quinn. She made a very well loved game developer, unfortunately, self delete. Or I'm trying to put it in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
It certainly is incredibly disturbing how these people can be.
Well, never in a million years, if I disagreed with anything you said or did, would I think about calling up your place of employment and complaining to you about them and spreading lies with your employer and saying, look, you should fire this guy or gal. You should do that. Never in a million years would I do that because, you know, honor and integrity demand that, hey, if I got a problem with you, I'm going to face you and we're going to work it out. These people don't operate that way, and they think it's perfectly valid for them to do things like that. And it's starting to cost people their lives,
It really
and
is,
that is
unfortunately.
wrong.
It is. It is. I agree. And quite frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm just tired of it. Tired of seeing how it's getting out of hand.
I think things are going to change, but yeah, I've heard people go, "Oh, I think it's changing." I'm like, I don't think it is yet. There's going to be a time, and we talk about this, Mike and I, in the book series that we're doing, because there's going to be a point where they push the wrong people the wrong way, and they're going to find out exactly what happens when you push good people too far.
Like, what was my favorite quote? Now, I know the man, what he did wasn't exactly legal, but I don't know if you're familiar with Marvin Haymeyer. He said sometimes unreasonable.
Yes. I was talking about him today with Mike Farron, actually. So
yeah. Sometimes an unreasonable man must do unreasonable things.
Yes. I watch Tread every year on the anniversary.
So do I.
It's incredible how one guy and a crazy modified bulldozer managed to just make such an impact.
Well, I posted a meme this year on the anniversary because it's like what the difference between men and women if they have time machines, and a woman, it's like they showed her and she's talking to a woman. She goes, "You're my grandmother. I want to meet you. I want to get to know you." And they show a man and he goes, "Hey, make sure you reinforce the radiator and don't drive through the hardware store."
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That one was great.
They had the picture of the bulldozer that reinforced the radiator. Hey, reinforce your radiator.
I love it.
It's got to be. And I'm like, it's interesting, to me, because I watched the documentary on it, and the whole town is like, we weren't being bad at all. We weren't harassing him. We weren't pushing him around. It was like, clearly you were. You didn't realize you were doing it, but you were doing it. So, yeah. He's a big inspiration. Mike and I talked about him today, as a matter of fact. So,
actually, this is, I know we haven't gotten to the Blue Dawn questions yet, but I do want to say real quick, that would make for an excellent Sons of Liberty faction. Maybe they call them the Disciples of Haymeyer or something.
It could. There's so much. God, there's so much ground I can't cover, just even in the novels I've done, but there's a lot of good ground to go play with there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh God. So now we'll move on to Land and Sea and how you got started with that, and tell us a little bit about the premise of it, because I would love to get more people into this.
Land and Sea is really interesting. Brent Evans, my business partner, came up with the idea. He said, "I want to start a game company." This is literally the discussion, almost verbatim. We were at Gen Con. He goes, "I want to start a game company. I want you involved." And I said, "Okay." I'm that easy. And I said, "I've got some ideas for IPs." And he goes, "I've got one too. I want to do aliens that invade from the ocean." And I said, "Okay, let's do that." And I said, "But we're going to have mecha." And he goes, "Of course." And I said, "But I want to do realistic mecha, not having written for BattleTech. It's a lot of what I call hand wavium to make those mechs work."
That is an incredible term.
That is.
It's just hand wavium. It's just, oh, they got a fusion reactor. Oh, they're 3 stories tall and they can run 115 kilometers per hour. And I'm like, no, they can't. Not at that way. Oh, they can climb up buildings. Yeah, you put 100-ton mech on any building. Unless engineering principles have dramatically changed, I can assure you that building will collapse.
Right.
So there was a lot of stuff in BattleTech and Brent, he ran the BattleTech line for a number of years. He's the art director at Catalyst still. And we were talking about it. I said, let's do realistic mecha, etc., and make this more gritty and not so far in the future. So we set it, in the year 2040. So it's not that far down the road. And Brent's like, I want people to be able to, when we do the game for this, to be able to play the game in their hometown. Pull up a Google map, print it out, and they can fight in their own neighborhood.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
That's really cool.
And I said, okay, so those were our starting principles with this. And we did a lot of brainstorming around the aliens and the alien tech. And what's really different about the universe is every time you see a movie like Independence Day or whatever, it's always kind of the same thing. Eventually we find a way to wipe out all the aliens. And we're like, we're not going to do that. And our aliens are so significantly different than humans, we can't even communicate with them. And we don't know why they've come. We don't know anything about them culturally. We're going to have to learn that through the books that we put out, etc. And it's going to be a nugget here and a nugget there. But we started with an ensemble cast of characters that go through the series, and some will make it all the way through, some will not. And that's part of the fun of any military sci-fi series is you're going to lose people along the way.
Oh, yeah.
But it's just the aliens don't use mechanical equipment. Everything is biologically engineered. And so their weapons are all biological based. And that is very different than what we do. And they've engineered different species to perform different functions on the battlefield. And that makes things very challenging. It's just a very different universe. It's not a thing where you read the first 3 books and you're like, oh, the invasion's over. It's like, no, the invasion's really just begun. And for a while, mankind is going to be on the ropes because they hit every coastline of every continent at once. And you think about the United States, our defenses aren't built for actually fending off an amphibious attack on every coast at once and every major coastal city at once.
That makes it
Well,
super
it's a massive
interesting.
undertaking for any country to do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. I've been having a blast with this, and it's just been fun because we have our own tech that's all based on DARPA manuals and stuff that I've been going through, and DARPA papers about the technology. And so a lot of the stuff we're putting out there is actually stuff that is probable within the timeframes that we're talking about. I think the only hand wavium we do is about batteries. Battery capacity is much better. And you got to believe by 2040 that would be the case.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, things are is improving, though it can be argued that, it can only improve by so much, but
well, I've been having fun with this. This universe was just a blast. And about 6 years ago, we wrote the first 3 books, and I wrote the first 3 books. And the goal was we were going to do them as a kind of a Kickstarter and do it independently. When I got canceled from BattleTech, I got approached by 5 different publishing companies that were like, hey, we want to be in business with you. What do you got?
Nice.
And I think that's one of the things that's strong about the conservatives is we do support each other, sometimes better than others, but and we decided to go with Wargate, and we're like, hey, we've got our first trilogy done. And so we hit the ground running last year with that, and then produced another 3 novels in the series on top of the 3 that we released. And now we're actually got other authors that are kind of reaching out to us going, can we be a part of this? And
that's cool.
So you're going to see some expansion. Declan Finn, who's a big, well-known voice in the indie space, we're bringing him on board to do a book called Tiger's Edge. That is, it's just a neat concept. He's found a perfect little battlefield to fight. So it's going to be a lot of fun. He's doing something very interesting, and it dovetails in with the rest of the stuff we're doing. So there's a lot of cool stuff happening.
Nice.
And we got a graphics novel.
Oh yeah, the
If you
comic.
go-
Yes.
Stuff like
I mean,
that's
you go
always
to-
so
you-
much fun when you start getting into the multimedia stuff.
Oh yeah, well we decided early on, that was something Brent and I talked about. He goes, well, we're going to do video games, graphic novels, tabletop games, role-playing game, all the stuff all has to work together, etc. And I said, then we need to carve out a place that we will reference in the first 3 or 4 books, that's where the graphic novel will reside. And so we'll have references to it, but we're not going to explain all the details of what's going on there, because that's where the graphic novel will fill that in. And that area was Hawaii. And so we talk a little bit about it in the first couple books, but that's, you just get snippets, and the graphic novel is actually telling the story of what actually went down in Hawaii. And
Oh, that's cool.
It's really fun. So all the stuff is designed to kind of interconnect in the right way.
Actually, I have one of the mechs from the Land and Sea franchise. I just pulled it up on stream. It's actually above Mr. Pardoe's head here. I believe this is, I forget which one of the suits this is. This is the Lion class Asher suit.
The lion. So the lion is our iconic one. Although that's going to
It's
change.
so cool
We've
looking.
got some really cool designs that are coming out. And we've got miniatures. We've got, the lion miniatures up at the Wargate site. And if you go to the Indiegogo for the graphic novel, we just added yesterday the capability to order the rhino miniature. We're going to have an exclusive rhino, which is Adam Kane's. It's on the cover of Riptides. That's his primary ride. So lots of fun stuff.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait for the tabletop. And as someone who loves to paint miniatures, and I love to like kit bash and make my own little like take on characters and stuff like that, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
It's fun for me because, and I've showed this a couple times. I mean, this is the prototype for the crab.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's
and
cool.
it's just, they are awesome and scary and everything. So, I mean, I think people, they look at me and they go, well, this guy's 61 years old. Look, I'm a 10-year-old child. I put together miniatures and I paint them. I finally am achieving one of my lifelong goals of contributing to a comic book. I couldn't be happier.
Hey, you're only as old as you act.
Oh yeah, here's Shiroi. This is the suit, if the mech, if you want to put it on your end.
Yeah.
That's one I painted too.
Oh, the Asher? Oh, the Lion Asher suit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
nice.
really cool.
Very nice.
I really I always really liked bulky designs like that.
Yeah, they're really cool. It kind of reminds me of the Marauder suits from Starship Troopers a little bit.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. Somebody told me it's like Exo Squad, and I don't really remember Exo Squad, but it's kind of like that. They're not 3-story things. They're, they're much smaller.
Yeah, more like armored exosuits.
Yeah.
I think that was
It's
how you put
always
it.
difficult to tell which one you want to go for.
Oh yeah.
You want to make them really big or kind of realistic.
So I did want to ask. So are they aliens? Will they be playable in the tabletop?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, good.
Absolutely.
It's not a proper tabletop if you can't
I
play
mean,
as the
that's
bad
true.
guys. Come on.
That is true. That is true. That is very true.
And what's really kind of cool is we've designed this so that all the systems interlink. So if you roll up a character in the RPG, he can fight either using an RPG set of rules, or he can fight in the tabletop rules, or he can fight in a large-scale battle using the battle space rules.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that sounds like a really cool system. As
Because
someone,
then you can create entire militia units and field them, or a regular army unit. You can create them and paint them up with their logos and their stuff, and you can throw them on in competitive play if you want.
oh wow, ooh, so let's say if I wanted to do like a PMC, could I make it like a PMC kind of?
Yeah, I mean, there's the rules are there. The combat system works the same at all levels. It's making that math work is a little tricky, and we're still kind of refining that. That's what's taking some time, but
Right. Yeah.
it's kind of fun.
It sounds fun. I'm looking for. I can't wait to try this game out because this sounds really interesting. As someone who loves tabletop RPGs and tabletop wargaming, this is a match
Yeah,
made in heaven.
I love it. What I really love about it is when I played Battle, I always used to joke playing BattleTech was you'd spend 8 hours fighting a 30-second battle. With this, we really designed it so that damage happens and it's vicious and nasty and detailed as what you see in the novels. And our test games have gone about 35-40 minutes.
Oh wow.
That's a squad versus a comparable force from the fish. And that has worked out really well because I'm like, most gamers don't have, don't want to have to say I'm going to carve out 8 hours to go fight.
Well, it's difficult to do that. Like, it can be really hard because, you got real life responsibilities and life it can be hard to set aside. Like, I know that especially like, because, I consistently live stream and all that. Like, I only have so much time in a week to be able to allocate to something.
Oh yeah. Like I have actually had to find a way to incorporate some of my hobbies into my streaming. Actually, I've been doing now that I have a second camera, I've actually been doing what I call hand cam streams. So it's like aimed at my desk. I still have my character on the screen, so I have one camera that tracks my face, the other on my desk, and I'll just build model kits on stream.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is one of the best things to get your hobbies out of the way when you're doing this.
Yeah. I'm actually going to be next Sunday. I'm actually going to be hand painting. I don't know if you've seen them, but McFarlane Toys, if you're familiar with them, they have Warhammer figures that you can paint that are just like a dull gray. You just got to prime them up and paint them. So I'm going to be painting one of them on stream, actually.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, it will be. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, sorry if you were getting off topic there.
No, it's great. I love it. Like I said, I'm a kid.
Yeah,
I love this.
I think I have more toys now than I did as a kid. More at 33 than I did at like 12.
Yeah, I'm probably just as guilty, but I don't care.
Yeah, like let's see, what do I have on my desk here?
Zero guilt on that.
Yeah.
Not gonna feel.
If I had the space, I'd have a lot of stuff.
Like hell, I got a couple Space Marines right now on my desk. I got a few anime figures. I got Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. I got the Punisher. So what is your favorite? Let me see here. Sometimes I get a little bit of double vision. So how would I believe you already answered this, but like how the mechs differ from BattleTech. But what would you say is your favorite mech design so far for Land and Sea?
Boy, it's funny. It's for the graphic novel. There's one called The Sea Wolf.
I think I saw that on Twitter.
I like the Sea Wolf design. I just really enjoy it.
Sea Wolf on here. Let's see. I think. Let me look. I know you posted it on Twitter. Let me go get it.
Yeah, it's been a while, but the Sea Wolf, I just like. There's one that we've got coming out called the Wolverine. It's got more of a Warhammer from BattleTech vibe to it.
Ooh.
It's got twin rail guns and no hands. The arms just come down and mount to rail guns, and I like that. I don't know why, but I like it.
Railguns are cool. I like
Railguns are
railguns.
cool. I love the concept behind them. They're very interesting. I remember one of my favorite mechs that used the railgun design, the series of video games Metal Gear. In one of them, literally, it is supposed to be the mech is designed to launch nukes, and it launches nukes with the railgun. So the nuke itself has no propellant, so it can just go past radar systems and just nuke anywhere without getting detected,
The amount
which is
of
terrifying.
math involved in something like that must be awful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It reminds me of the old Davy Crockett where they used to have an artillery round. It was a
Yeah.
artillery round that fired a tactical nuclear round. It's like you're technically in the blast.
And it was
zone.
handheld. It was handheld too.
Wasn't it also meant to be mounted on the back of a Jeep?
It was. There were several.
too.
There's a tripod version. There's a bunch of different ones, but in the end, it was like this thing barely launched far enough to be out to put you outside the zone.
I mean, it was a lower nuclear yield than normal, but then
You'll never convince me that was a good
World War
thing.
II, but
Yeah. it's cool in theory, but in practice, I don't. I don't know.
in practice, hear me out. Hear me out. You can live a perfectly normal life without having the sixth finger removed.
You're right. Let's see here. Actually, I think I found it. The what was it called? The Sea Wolf, you called it?
The Sea Wolf.
Oh, okay.
So, do you also have a favorite of your of the alien designs?
I like the boss. The boss is so badass. That they are just scary badass. They're the aliens that have been genetically engineered to be bipedal and to be able to cope with Ashers, and they do. And they've got weird joining. Their joints and stuff are very different than human joints and stuff. And like you hit a boss and cripple its arm and it detaches its arm, and uses it as a club. I mean, these guys really are.
That's scary.
So metal.
That's
so
really
metal.
cool, though. Yeah, here we go.
It's cool.
Yeah, this is the one the copy on the cover Storm Surge, right? Or
No,
that's a different one.
Triton
Oh, that's the Triton.
Those are
I'm
the
so sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We haven't. We did a webcast a couple weeks ago. We showed the bosses. I've got a miniature of the boss.
Oh.
So this will.
Oh, that looks cool. That looks really
awesome.
cool. It kind of reminds me of Robocane from RoboCop 2, if he was like a biomechanical creature. Yeah, I like that design.
They're very scary looking.
Oh yeah, they are. And from what I've been reading through the book, the first book, Splashdown, I'm almost finished. Oh my god, the aliens in general are just terrifying. Just absolutely terrifying. Yeah, which I highly recommend you all read.
Guys, it's not going to get any less terrifying, believe me.
It's going to get worse.
It's going to get worse before
the one thing that scares me more than aliens is looking out and seeing that maybe we are alone.
Yeah, I gotta believe in the universe there would be other races, and these just happen to be a race of aquatic aliens, and they've been on Earth for 5 years before they attacked. We just didn't know.
They just
That's
been
part of the scary
surveying.
part too, is
Oh yeah.
technically they've conquered 70% of the planet already.
For what it's worth, though, it's the 75% that we aren't using.
Right. But that's a little bit scary.
It is.
Like when you've been invaded and you don't know it and you already are behind.
And I mean,
Yeah.
the I remember like the one part in the first book, and I don't want to spoil. If you don't want me to spoil the book or bring up the one
Oh, you can
particular,
spoil it. Go ahead.
okay, the airliner going down. That
Oh yeah.
oh my god! See, that's one of my worst fears is being in a plane crash. But like being in a hopeless situation like that, my god.
I would not enjoy that. I think that to me the scariest thing was the opening of the first book where the little girl gets
Oh, the little girl getting mauled by the crabs. Yeah.
the little crabs, and that everybody has been like, gee, I realized at that point I can't read this to my kids, and I'm like, yeah, you should.
No, you cannot.
Not all media needs to be sanitized for children.
No,
That's true.
I think we should have fiction for adults. I think adults deserve to have their own fiction just for them.
Yeah. There are times that you need some filtering.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So but what did I ask? Did you want to talk a little bit more about the comic book? I know we covered the tabletop.
Guys, it's up on Indiegogo. We just added a digital version. It's a black and white version that we'll be putting out digitally. It's going to be for $1. So it's a trash can edition, I guess they're calling it. I don't know all the lingo. But we've also got the miniature up there for the Rhino. You can order that. But obviously, I encourage you to take a look at the Indiegogo for the graphic novel. It is going to be cool. And it's dead on accurate to our universe. So you're not going to see things happening there that can't happen in the tabletop game or aren't part of our normal canon. This isn't some thing where we've licensed the product and we're letting them do whatever they want. This is something that's a cooperative effort that we're intimately involved with. So it's kind of cool that way.
Yeah, that's something I can really appreciate because there are so many things out there where you just have one group says this can happen in the universe, the other says this can, and it never meets with what you're actually able to do in in the game or anything like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the artwork looks really good. I'm definitely gonna back this. This looks fantastic. Fun. But so now we're moving to the series that I actually started reading. Actually, your first series that I got introduced to is Blue Dawn. Or actually, no, wait. I'm sorry. Oh, we were going to talk about the we'll do Blue Dawn and then we'll do the Iron Age questions. Sorry, I'm kind of doing these a little out of order.
They're kind of it's all related. It's all related. You're an Iron Age author, so you know.
Yeah, that's true.
I am now.
Actually, yeah. You know what? Let's start with that. What is the Iron Age, and how would you best describe it to those who aren't aware?
What I call the Iron Age is independent creators who are either working with smaller publishers or operating completely as self-published, who are just out there writing and telling good stories, and they're not involving real-world politics. They're not involving real-world social issues. A lot of them are conservative, but not necessarily all of them. But they're out there telling great stories and stuff, and they're not kind of bound to trying to pander to any particular group or whatever to tell their story. They're just out there telling great stories. And that can be in comic books, that can be in novel form, short stories. It's all over the place. And I think that's what makes it really interesting. And we've seen some absolutely top-notch stuff coming out of Iron Age producers.
Yeah, there's a couple of Iron Age creators that I have. I've been looking to back. I know Eric July. He had the successful Ripperverse, which
Eric, I've had on my show. I got to interview him. He's amazing. The guy is absolutely incredible. And I know there's some Comic Gates people that hate Eric July, and I'm like, this is why we can't have nice things, is we fight amongst ourselves. But I'm celebrating the success of anybody out there. I don't care if they're Comicsgate or Iron Age or whatever they want to call themselves. They are independent creators out there that are doing hellaciously good things.
oh,
I think
absolutely.
Eric's done a real good job, because what he's really doing is building a powerhouse that can bump off DC and Marvel at some point down the road.
Yeah, I've heard good things about ISOM. I like the concept of it. The fact that it's formerly retired superhero dealing with a corrupt team of superheroes that are basically collecting protection money from criminals.
There's a lot going on in that, and there's also some, it's a great platform for him to introduce other characters that end up getting their own series and stuff. So I mean, it's been a romp. I've been loving it.
Oh yeah.
But there's other great producers. You get like John Douglas out there, who's written the Black Crown fantasy book. You get Herman Hunter, who's done some great stuff. Declan Finn. There's so many good Iron Age authors out there.
Oh yeah.
And there's also a whole bunch of them that write for what I call kind of the small indie press type things. And I don't think of Wargate quite in that realm, but they probably are in some people's eyes. But there's a lot of great authors out there cranking out some hellaciously good books. And it's a lot of fun. So watch what goes on in the Iron Age. And there's an Iron Age magazine called The Anvil. If you haven't read it, pick it up, because it's a great way for you to get exposed to some of these authors and stuff that are out there.
The Anvil. Let me look this up. I'll post a link
The
for
Anvil
it.
is really cool. And I got a cover story coming up in the next issue. So
Ooh. Okay, this is no, that is not. I like how I look it up, and the first thing that comes up is the Anvil, a a journal of Marxist theory. No, not that kind of Anvil.
no, that's not it. That's
no,
not that one.
no. I
Wait,
don't.
I thought their thing was a hammer and sickle. What's this about an anvil?
Okay, here we go. I got the actual link here. I was about to say no. I don't want to learn about the teachings of Hungry Santa.
Hey, I'll have you know, Marx ate very well. It was everybody else who was starving around him.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. Usually the people who eat well are usually the ones who make sure others don't. I mean, look at Kim Jong-un. Which actually reminds me of a joke I tell quite often. I say dark humor is like food in North Korea. Not everybody gets it.
Yeah. I love the satellite pictures of North Korea at night. It's all dark.
Oh, yeah.
Except for that one bit in the capital.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sally's running.
So I was gonna say, so why so for those sorry. Hiccup there. So why is it important, and why should people support the Iron Age? For those who aren't really aware of the grand scheme of things that it plays into.
Look, there's a lot of publishers out there that are pushing social theory into their work, etc. You're not getting that from the Iron Age people. And the best thing you could do is go buy a book or a comic or whatever from somebody who's producing in the Iron Age. It's the best way to say, look, this is my way I'm fighting back. You don't have to post it anywhere, but buy their stuff. I think it's a great way to express where you feel you should be spending your money. And I try to spend my money with people who think and act the way I do.
Yeah, actually, a really good Iron Age creator I forgot to mention earlier, Razor Fist with his Ghost of the Badlands comic.
Oh yeah.
Which
Oh yeah.
apparently it's getting some type of award, something like the best Christian fiction comic or something like that.
Yeah, it was really good. I only found one mistake in it. I mean, I caught it more as a fluke, and Razor admitted it when I sent it to him. So
What was the mistake? If
he
you don't
missed
mind us
it. Well,
asking?
because it's set in the West, and there was a scene where a guy was singer in 1880 something, drinking bourbon, but he had ice cubes in the drink.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And it was one of those things when I saw it, I didn't realize it. It was like I got 2 more pages in, and I was like, wait a minute. I flipped back, and I was like, uh-oh. No way you had ice cubes then.
I
Not in
mean,
Arizona.
the refrigerated train car, I think, might have been a thing.
The refrigerated train car. I know the refrigerated truck didn't get introduced until during World War II as a necessity.
Reefers, which are the refrigerated train cars, came around a little bit later than that, and definitely in Arizona, the ice wouldn't have lasted long enough to float in a drink.
No.
Yeah, I gotta remember that it's in a refrigerator and a freezer.
Yeah.
It was a minor thing. Honestly, it didn't derail me at all. It was just one of those things where it was like, I was surprised I caught it.
Oops.
It's like, oops. Hey, if that's the smallest mistake that's made, that's fine.
Yeah, that
Everything
ain't bad.
else,
That's good. That's good.
it was good. It was a lot of fun to read. I got the black and white version of it. Sometimes when these guys ink it, it almost ruins the mystique of what you imagine the colors would be.
Yeah, sometimes it's better to leave the colors and everything to your own imagination.
Yeah.
There's a very good reason why a lot of Japanese artists only ever do everything in black and white.
This is true.
I think it's a smart
that
move.
way.
It is. So, wanted to say. So now we can get. We'll get to Blue Dawn here. So, I'm sorry for the mistake earlier there, but
No, it's okay.
Yeah. So, wanted to know. Tell us the tell for the audience here the premise of Blue Dawn and why it's much better than that god awful Civil War movie that A24 made.
Well, the problem with the Civil War movie was it never explained what the conflict was actually over and how these factions would work together. Also, I think Civil War made the mistake of saying it was a state by state thing. It was California and Texas and Florida against, the rest of the country type thing. I didn't enjoy that concept because realistically with a civil war, if you had that in our country right now, it would really be the urban areas and not even all of them, but a lot of the urban areas against the rest of the country, which is a very different dynamic than that. This is the series where I dump all my political stuff, and I'm a conservative, I admit it. And this is a book about giving the progressives everything they want. They, in the first few pages, they overthrow the government. They kill the president of the United States. They kill most of Congress. They put anyone who's conservative into what's called a social quarantine camp, which is a re-education camp of sorts, or as you'll learn later in the series, they tend to get converted over to death camps. They get their Green New Deals. They round up all the guns. They get all the stuff that they've ever wanted. And what you realize is if you give the government all of that stuff, it becomes a totalitarian regime. And this is a series about the people who rise up and want to restore the United States back to what it was. And so it's it's a civil war, but I think it's a little bit more of an accurate portrayal of a civil war in terms of the politics and the dimension. I think the Civil War movie just skipped all the politics.
Yeah,
Um,
there was
I
no
don't really think you
substance.
could do a civil war without having any politics in it. It's
No.
you'd want to know why people are fighting, and
the
because
subject
otherwise it
matter
doesn't have any
alone.
meaning.
Yeah.
You strip away why that you don't have any meaning, and it doesn't mean anything to the viewer. So
At that point, you're
you
just
know,
like, this state doesn't like this state, and okay.
yeah.
It just doesn't
Good
make
luck
any
fighting two
sense.
states that do like each other. There's a challenge.
I think the only thing they really said anything of substance was that the president in the movie had a third term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I don't know.
That was weird.
It was a clunky thing designed to show how brave and bold the media is during such conflicts. And I'm like, the media is, in my universe, the media is actually a huge part of the problem.
I mean, much
The
like it is
media,
now.
yeah, well, it is. It's media and big tech align with the government, and they are now part of the problem. And that makes it a little more interesting. I have to admit, in the first book, when I blew up Twitter and Facebook's headquarters, I totally
That was
enjoyed
awesome.
it.
I enjoyed it too. The fact the former Navy SEAL went in there and blew it all up.
Yeah, no remorse, none.
Not
only that,
I'd like to see it in live action.
It was blowing up the Twitter headquarters was fun only because he detonates the bombs, they come running out of the building, and then he detonates the bombs on the streets,
And he does without hurting anybody. Well,
oh no, everybody dies. It's big time loss. And there's a point where we've seen big tech aligning with political parties, etc., against other Americans, censoring other Americans.
It's very concerning.
You remember the Twitter files, all that stuff. Like that was some,
oh yeah,
that was some
pretty bad.
horrifying stuff right there.
Yeah,
like,
I highly recommend Blue Dawn for anybody who, like myself, has worries about stuff like that becoming a reality. It's such a great, like, Blaine, you do such a good job. Like, the dystopia is fantastic.
Thanks.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to fanboy.
When they ask for.
Yeah. But it is fantastic. And what I love about it too is that, like, a lot of the characters who are fighting against the because the regime that takes over, they call themselves New America. I like how a lot of the people who are fighting the New American government aren't just doing it for political reasons. A lot of them are just decent people trying to fight back against an indecent system.
Yeah, that was part of what I wanted to capture was that, most American heroes are just everyday people in many respects who are in extraordinary circumstances. Mm-hmm. And Blue Dawn allows me to do that. I very much enjoyed that aspect of it. I like the primary villain in this is AOC.
Actually,
I'm unabashed about that.
You are very mean to AOC too in the books.
I've heard that you're not the biggest fan.
I've told
Actually, I respect her because she's taken a page out of Trump's playbook. She knows that it's good to be in the news, even if you're in the news for the wrong reasons. You're at least talking about her, and that makes her very insidiously dangerous.
Yeah.
She thinks that way. And making her the villain, I've had a lot of people go, I have a hard time picturing her being that smart. And I'm like, she's smarter than you think.
Yeah, she is.
She's done very
She's
well.
a lot smarter than you think. I mean, they made her a bad guy in The Boys. Like, one of the main villains, I don't know if you've seen that show where if superheroes reveal they're evil. Yeah, the lady that makes people's heads explode. Yeah, they made her a supervillain that makes people's heads explode. And they based her off AOC. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Is she also a bartender?
I don't know.
No, they never really got into her background that much. But it's a great series because it's modern military conflict. There's a lot of politics in there. there's some high-end agents that are out doing good things. But there's some losses along the way too. And
Oh yeah.
it's a journey to see this war fight out in some cases in the streets of America, some places out in the wilderness up in New Hampshire, out in the deserts of Texas. You get it. And you get to see too, I play with a lot of themes. Like in the last book, I played with how we deal with veterans in this country. And I also deal with, well, what would happen if you rounded up all the guns, and why is that a bad thing? And, when the New American Army pushes into Texas, they learn they didn't get all the guns, and it's a horrible thing.
You'll never
A
get all
lot
the
of
guns out
boating
of
accidents,
Texas.
of course, happen. Very tragic.
I will say this. As someone who was prior service, I really love how you portrayed like how the National Guard operates, because I was also National Guard. But the other thing too, as someone who's also actually preparing to move to Texas, you have made me want to move to Texas even more. I love Trip.
I'm a huge fan of Texas, man. I went to the I got my publisher, Defiance Press, had invited me, and I went to San Antonio for the Republican state convention a few weeks ago, and it was great. I love being in Texas. Absolutely love it. I wouldn't want to live there. It's too hot for me, but
That's the one thing I'm not looking forward to is the heat. I love the cold. But
yeah, I mean, it was blasted hot while we were there, but it's a great, and the people are fantastic.
I've heard that the people in Texas are freaking great.
Oh yeah,
they are.
Night.
They are. The ones that I've met have been fantastic.
One of my chat wants to say King Panzer, he said he is a huge Mech Warrior fan.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
And one person I meant to mention and read it earlier, I think it was Will who asked, will Land and Sea get a video game adaptation in the future?
We have been talking with a video game company. We have storyboards that they want to do to produce basically like a sizzle reel to try to generate some interest and see if there's some money out there to do it. So if nothing else, I'm hoping they'll continue with that so that we can at least, you guys will get to see an animation of, some Oshers in battle.
Oh, that'll be amazing.
What genre were you thinking would be would you want to go for if it did end up panning out?
They're doing it kind of generic. I want to be in the cockpit. I want to have like a
that would be fun
Titanfall experience.
Yeah.
Oh, Titanfall's so good.
That's what I like. Now Brent wants more of a strategy game. He likes that approach, but a lot depends on if they were able to get enough money. What do the people with the money want? Because the money is what drives a lot of this.
That is true.
I mean, there is. Oops, sorry.
Like, I've heard some of your descriptions here, and I'm getting so many XCOM vibes.
That's a great game.
I
love it.
There's an XCOM vibe to it. It's been a long time since I saw XCOM, but yeah, it's definitely got some of that going. I just don't, personally, I'd like to be in the cockpit of an Osher blowing stuff up. That to me would be fun. Or infantry out the ground or whatever.
I can 100% agree with that too, though.
I actually have a suggestion. So, a game that is a good example if you could probably have the best of both worlds. There was this game, I forget what the name of it off the top. So there was a series called Mountain Blade. And in that game, it was a strategy game, but it was also a third-person medieval combat game. So you could walk around with your own armor and your weapons, and then you'd have hundreds of NPCs, and you could command them on the battlefield at the same time. So you could probably...
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool. we're so far off from what the game is going to be and what the storyline's going to be and stuff. I don't want to venture yet,
No,
but
I understand that.
I can
I have
understand
I
that.
have my
Yeah.
preferences. I want to be in a cockpit.
That would be nice. I mean, you could always
Hey, that
have.
is half the fun. That is half the fun of having mechs in your game.
This is true. You can always do what
Right.
like Games Workshop does. I mean, they have their IP licensed out to different game devs that do different things like strategy and action games and such.
Yeah.
But I would look forward to that. I would definitely love to pilot an Asher suit and kill some fish.
Me too.
But yeah, so the next question. Sorry, we got a little off topic there. So what are your favorite characters that you've written in Blue Dawn?
Haley is definitely one of my favorites. She's badass. She's a former operative for the new American government. She's flipped. Um, she is 100% tough as nails, and that she's not invulnerable. She makes mistakes, but she manages to learn and recover from each of those, and I think that's important. She's definitely one of my favorites, and oddly enough, I think the character of Andy, who appears in the first book and he appears in all of the books, he's kind of the everyman perspective to all of this.
I like Andy.
You know, he's been drawn into this conflict, you know, both by his father and by the actions of his sister, and because of that, it's just he has a very different perspective on the whole thing. And you see what happens when you take an average person and put them in that situation. And I like Raul. Raul's a lot of fun.
Oh, Raul is one of my favorites.
Raul is just a cool character. Yeah, it's I like taking kid characters and putting them in situations where it's not about them being on their phones, but having to deal with real world issues. And Raul definitely fits that.
Yeah, I like the hero's journey he's been going through. I mean, he was this reluctant young man who came to America to look for a job, and then he gets involved with that youth corps program that the new American government, started, and then all of a sudden now he's kind of like the face of the resistance, pretty much.
Yeah,
now.
he's the face of the resistance who didn't ask to be.
Pretty much, yeah. And a
No
true
one ever asks.
true heroes never ask for their position.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I love about him. Although I would say one of my favorites you also did was General Trip Rigger, and he and Judy Mercury is another one of my favorites. I mean, the fact that she called that Operation Grab Ass.
Oh, I love it.
That is
I mean, just walking in and kidnapping Governor of Illinois, it was a lot of
That
fun.
was brilliant. How she smuggled the Abrams in there, just putting them on the back of tractor trailers was fucking fantastic. And that is the most army thing you could call an operation.
Oh, totally. And I love it in the new book when because I used to fly up to do consulting up at Stuart Newburgh Airport, and being able to go up there and take over the airport and stuff. And I had the real life Chad Mihalik, who's mentioned in the book as a character, but he actually helped me on, the what does it take to fly up a Black Hawk and how long does it take to assemble it?
Oh, he was a
And
badass.
do the trim and everything else, if you load it onto C-17s and stuff. So it was just a lot of fun. It's just when they're flying those things in and they're playing the Battle Hymn of the Republic from Dr. Strangelove, that is just the best.
It's fantastic. The one scene in the recent book that really gave me chills was when Raul was calming down the. Well, I don't want to. Well, then again, you said you didn't mind if I mentioned it.
I don't mind.
Was when he was trying to calm down those people that got out of the social quarantine death camp when he had them sing "America the Beautiful." That gave me chills.
Oh, yeah.
As they're evading those fighters.
Oh yeah. You know, it's amazing the little things that make you feel good. And I want people to read the book. They get infuriated because, you know, they get upset at the American regime, but at the same time, they really enjoy those moments of patriotism.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's a great series of books, and you don't necessarily have to be like, you know, politically like on the right or right leaning to enjoy it. It's so well written that really you can enjoy it regardless of what your preference is, which is what I
I
love
don't
about it.
know about that because I haven't
Whoa.
heard a lot of liberals who have said, "Wow, I've enjoyed this book."
I mean, that is also fair. I do remember one comment I saw on Audible where they're like, "Oh, they made us look really bad." I'm like,
Actually, you guys made yourselves look bad. I just get my plot start lines off CNN.
That's
I'm
true.
I mean,
serious. I go to the gym every
CNN
morning.
is it's a great place to find fiction. You know,
It
Yeah,
is,
I
and you
just
know,
turn on the news. I get my stuff from MSNBC and CNN while I'm at the gym.
there you go. Oh God. So now we're getting out of Blue Dawn. We're gonna uh-oh. I think Shiroi disappeared on my end.
Oh,
Does she Shiroi, you okay? I think her internet must have went out. Let me check on her. Let me see here. I'm trying to message her. I hope everything's okay. Okay. I think. Wait, what? No, Chimi. Oh God, yeah, I think her internet went out. Shoot. Um. Okay. She'll be back. She'll be back. So I was gonna say the next question here. Uh. So you have written true crime with your daughter.
yeah. Yeah, I have. Yeah, she just posted her internet died.
Yeah.
But yeah, my daughter and I write true crime books. I've done a couple on my own. My daughter's always been a fan. First book we did together, The Murder of Maggie Hume, went on the New York Times bestseller list for Crime and Punishment back when they used to have a Crime and Punishment. So, you know, 23 years old, she became a New York Times bestselling author. But we do a lot of cold cases more than anything. We do
Yeah.
occasionally a closed case, but cold cases tend to be where we dig in the most.
My chat's saying they can't hear me for some reason. That's weird. Let me check on my end. Oh wait, no, my audio is coming through.
All right, cool.
They can't hear me. Oh no, certain people can hear me. I would, you guys, go ahead and refresh your pages because I can hear it come through my end on my browser. Okay, there we go. Oh, we're good now, I think. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. This is unfortunately. This happens when streaming. But no, I'm sorry. Continue. I'm so sorry.
No, we do a lot of cold case books. Yeah, we've done two serial murder um, cases that are unsolved. One is now starting to be solved by the FBI with some DNA evidence. They closed out in January two of the murders and added a new victim to the tally list. So I just actually got back 2 weeks ago. I filmed a piece for Discovery ID. They're going to be doing on the Colonial Parkway murders, which her and I wrote about. So
Oh, interesting.
it's fun.
I'm
I
sure it
mean,
is. I mean, working with your daughter.
it's fun in a gruesome sort of way. I mean, you get really attached to the victims' families, and you know, the minute you start writing about these cases, you become kind of attached to the cases, etc. So there's a lot of TV and radio and newspaper interviews and things along those lines. But you know, it's good to see these cases start to slowly get solved, and with some of the new technology, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I remember seeing you make that tweet. I think it was like a couple weeks ago, actually, about for the filming of that.
Yeah, yeah, they rented a mansion out in Norfolk and went down there and filmed for 5 or 6 hours. So it'd probably be about 2 minutes of the TV show, but it was fun. It was a good time.
Oh, that must have been a good time. So,
It's always interesting to talk about something that you spend 2 years of your life researching. You know, it's enjoyable to kind of go back over that, and especially we were fortunate. We had interviewed one of the FBI agents, former FBI agents who worked the case, and he actually identified this killer that ended up being named and closed out on two of the cases so far. So we actually had kind of the scoop on that in terms of making it public and stuff. So that was really good.
that sounds like, yeah. So what would you say is the so what's it like co-writing with your daughter?
Um, it's different because we don't go into this as a dad-daughter relationship. We're co-authors. So there's times she calls me out on my writing. There's times I call her out on her writing. The good news is her style is very similar to mine. Um, I don't know if that's genetic or what, but it works out really good because you usually can't tell what she's written versus what I've written. You can't tell who's done it. And some of that is we homogenize the text a little bit between the two of us so that it has a good continuous voice. But she really enjoys it. The hard part is she just gave birth in October to a new grandson for us,
Oh,
and so she's
congratulations.
thank you. But she's now pinched for between her full-time job and, you know, new baby in the house and a teenage grandson. And so she's busy as hell right now. So you know, we haven't been able to tackle new projects together, but I've been doing some research on a couple that we're going to do.
Nice, nice. So what would you say is the most gruesome case you've covered?
Honestly, it's between the Colonial Parkway murders and the Freeway Phantom murders. The Colonial Parkway murders was really gruesome. You know, mostly because we had access to the crime scene photographs, and in some cases the autopsy photos. That is really difficult to look at. You know, when you're looking at a human being and you've interviewed their family, and then you see them sprawled out on a table and stuff, that's real hard. The Freeway Phantom case is one that always creeped me out, just because he killed, you know, young black women in the night in 1971 and 1972 in Washington D.C. And he actually wrote a letter to the police and left it, had the victim write it and left it on the victim's body, one of the victim's bodies,
What?
taunting the police, you know. And that takes a special kind of crazy to do that.
A special kind of evil.
Oh, definitely.
That is gruesome. So, would you say that those two cases were the hardest ones for you to stomach?
Yeah, honestly, when you're doing serial murder cases, it's real hard. You know, a lot of it is there's the true crime community is very big, um, and very vocal. They're online every day. Um, they constantly try to muddy the issues because they'll go, well, I think this victim is part of this killing spree, and you can go down a lot of rabbit holes, with people trying to lump cases in. There was a couple murders in the case of the Colonial Parkway murders. There were a couple murders of a pair of women up in the Shenandoah Park that for years people have been telling me these are connected, these are connected. Well, last week the FBI closed those out and they had nothing to do with the Colonial Parkway murders.
Huh.
So it's they used DNA, they matched it to somebody who's dead, but they nailed them. But you have a lot of people that, despite that, even though when that's put out there, that's like, okay, we know who did it, they don't give up. They're like, no, I'm still convinced this is connected. The amateur sleuthing of people, and I think shows like Dateline and stuff propagate that. Definitely the podcasts propagate this, is very positive in many respects, but there's like a darker side to it, which is I think it makes things much more muddy and complicated.
Yeah, I would agree. So, next set of question. Oh, Shiroi's back. Looks like internet's back. She'll be back in the call soon. I see her little VTuber model on screen. So the next set of questions. So I know you're also a military historian. Am I right on that? Okay. So what would you say is your favorite era of military history?
The Great War, World War One. Most of the books I've written have been tied to World War One. I had a couple outliers. I love reading Civil War history books, but I won't write in that genre. That community is batshit crazy.
Yes.
The Civil War fans, there are guys who are experts on certain regiments and things, to the point where it's like, look, I don't even want to do it because I've got some great subjects that I've done research on, etc. I don't want to write because there'll be 400 people telling me I got it completely wrong, because they are the armchair experts. World War One has always been, the Great War has always been just fascinating to me, and that's where I've done most of my writing at.
I'm sorry. I just
Oh,
want
no,
to
it's
apologize real quick, Mr. Pardo. I am so sorry
No, it's okay.
for the I think I am okay. I think I'm back up on my end.
Yep, I see it on your end. It's
Yeah,
okay. This happens.
I'm so sorry. It's like, I don't know what happened. Like, I know my router wasn't directly connected in there. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, this is why we both stream.
Yes. There's a reason why we host on both of our individual channels. Yeah. It's okay, sure, it happens.
Yeah, Razor, I'm gonna need you to send me the VOD after this so I can try to see if I can get that put up on my YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry about that. But yeah,
for archival.
Oh, it's okay. But yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Pardo. Continue. Please continue.
No problem. I love writing about World War One stuff. I've done one of my favorite books, though, that I've written in military history, The Fires of October. I got declassified the invasion plans for Cuba during the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Oh, like the Bay of Pigs invasion, or?
Well, kind of.
Different.
This was for the planned actual invasion of Cuba, complete top to bottom during the missile crisis. It's not my favorite era to write about, but that was one of my favorite books to write. It was just really cool finding the plans, piecing it all together from all these different sources at the National Archives, etc. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that project.
What have I told you? Now, my day job, I unfortunately work. I unfortunately work retail at the moment. something I'm trying to get out of. But there was a customer I actually ran into during my work. What if I told you I met a Air Force intelligence officer who was actually there for the Cuban Missile Crisis, who handled the documents?
Cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It was, it was the closest we got to all-out toe-to-toe nuclear conflict with the Ruskies. And, I don't think Americans realized just how devastating that war would have been. And part of what I got declassified as well was what would nuclear war have looked like? Because we didn't have intercontinental ballistic missiles at that point. We only had short-range missiles. So it would have been more of a bomber war. So it turns out FEMA, just before the missile crisis, had actually run a simulation of what an all-out nuclear conflict with the Russians would have looked like in terms of casualties, even down to would their bombs have hit the target, fallen short, gone long, what percentage of them were duds, and it gave full casualty counts for the United States and the Russians. It was absolutely, and I put it all in the book because I'm like, this is what the war would have looked like.
Nuclear war is absolutely terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of my greatest fears,
The way
actually.
I try to look at it is it's, once those bombs drop, it's not really my problem anymore.
Unless you survive.
Yeah. Well, I live outside Washington, D.C., so believe me, it's something I worry about from time to time.
Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, I'm near Philadelphia, and that's one of the prime targets as well when it comes to nuclear exchange.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty close to Des Moines right now, so I might be spared or not.
it might be. Who knows? But then again, there might be a military post around you that you don't know about that's one of the targets. There are targets in the country as well.
I'm always surprised by
if I don't know about them, how would they know about them?
Trust me, they know.
They know. They have good intelligence, I'm sure. Actually, what was it? There used to be I don't know if the website's still around, but it was called Weird New Jersey, and there was actually a interesting thing a urban explorer came across, and there were these, during the Cold War, apparently there were a bunch of these little missile silos up and down the East Coast, and they were nukes, but they were designed to shoot at other nukes.
Yeah, they were Nike silos. The Nike was interceptor missile that was fired at incoming bombers or incoming missiles and would detonate in the upper atmosphere and destroy the incoming missiles, etc. That was their intent. The Nike silos are all over the place. I explored one in Detroit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, outside Detroit and Southfield, Michigan, there was one, and it wasn't far from the apartment complex we were in, so I walked over to it and checked it out. And yeah, they got all sealed up because it turns out that was a really stupid idea.
It causes a lot of fallout.
Setting off nukes over your own cities to stop nukes. It just isn't the best maneuver. But at the time, that was part of the defense of the country. The Nike and the Hercules missile programs both did that.
It is interesting, regardless, though. Even though it doesn't, it's the same thing with the Davy Crockett. It's cool in theory,
yeah,
but in practice,
thank God we didn't do that. Thank God we didn't do that.
Yeah, I know. I think, the government's done stupider things, like when they were trying to test using B-52s to release mosquitoes, and they tested it on, I think it was Louisiana.
That is like the most sadistic, evil thing I have ever heard of.
Yeah, Tiferet. My friend Tiferet here in chat, she's a Navy veteran. So the U.S. Air Force, I think it was the Department of Defense, I can't remember which, but they were like, hey, what if we weaponized mosquitoes and we fill them with malaria and then we could release them on Russia, but let's test it on Louisiana.
Yeah, that's not nice.
No.
That's just like,
I remember the documentary. It was on the History Channel. It was called Weird Warfare, and one of the experts they had on was a Marine general. He goes, "I'm from Louisiana. No wonder why there's so many mosquitoes down there. Damn, I'm pissed at the Air Force now."
Yeah, no, seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, just a bit of a friendly reminder to everybody. Remember to, while it's hot and humid in the summer, remember to fill a bucket up with water, wait a few days, and then dump it. That'll kill thousands of mosquitoes.
Really? I'll have to do that.
Yeah, because they lay their eggs on still water.
Ah, that's right. Yeah. You know, it's funny. I remember, what was it, during the construction of the Panama Canal, because yellow fever was such a problem with the workers, they started bringing in iguanas and frogs to eat all of the mosquitoes before they continued construction.
Yeah, that's a losing battle.
It is.
Also, I'm sorry, Racer, what question are we up to?
We were at favorite era military history, and then we. But
oh, I missed a lot.
It's okay. So I was gonna ask next. So who's your? Do you have any favorite historical figures like that you can think of?
Absolutely. World War II would be General Patton.
I love Patton.
Patton was just the perfect person in the perfect war at the perfect time. Outside of that, I'm a huge fan of the Battle of the Alamo, and Davy Crockett will always hold a special place for me. I know that sounds corny and stuff, but man,
No,
if
it's
you've
fine.
ever been to the Alamo,
Remember the Alamo.
How did
always
you?
Remember.
Actually, a quick question about that. How did you feel about Billy Bob Thornton playing Davy Crockett?
I actually enjoyed it. I thought that version of the movie was the most accurate. There were aspects of that movie that were so accurate that I was deeply impressed as a historian to watch. There's a scene where Crockett's playing the fiddle at night, and you hear the bagpipes playing. And there was a bagpiper at the Alamo. McGregor was his last name. He was one of the 3 Scotsmen who fought at the Battle of the Alamo.
Really?
And he and Crockett serenaded at night with the fiddle and the bagpipes. And they just included that little detail like that in the background to the point where I was like, you know what? They really did their research here. I thought he was a fairly accurate portrayal of him. Obviously, I think they amped it up a little bit for the Hollywood side of it, but it's a little bit more realistic than, let's say, the John Wayne version.
Right. Yeah. It was quite good. I remember we actually had to watch it while I was stationed at Fort Lee, Virginia at the time. I was training for Advanced Individual Training, or AIT. And I remember I was a holdover. I got transferred to a different MOS because I had missed so much school because of a respiratory infection. They had to reclass me to another MOS. So while I was in between campuses, they had us watch, when we weren't doing anything for detail, they'd have us watch a bunch of military movies. And the only caveat would be, in order to let us watch them, we had to figure out which of the Army values are being represented in the book. Or not in the book, I'm sorry, the movie. The movie. And I remember the theme for watching the Alamo had to do with respect. So we had to see that. I'm sorry, that was a weird segue there.
But it was a good movie. It was really good.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I mean,
enjoyed
it's not
it quite
the most accurate. I mean, none of them are. If you make an incredibly accurate movie, and that movie was very accurate, it doesn't do well in the box office, and that movie bombed in the box office.
Sadly, yeah.
You know, and the more you make it accurate, the less people are going to want to watch it. And so Hollywood has always a tightrope they walk. Sometimes they really don't walk it well at all, and sometimes they do. People don't, the real world sometimes is not as good as what Hollywood can make.
This is true. I agree. I remember the one movie, I believe Eisenhower saw it when it came out. It was the movie they did about the Battle of the Bulge, and he hated how inaccurate it was.
Oh, it was terrible. It was.
Just seeing clips of it looked bad.
Well, and I had that same problem with Patton. They used the wrong tanks, which was dumb because they were in, when they filmed Patton in, what was it, 1970, there were plenty of the vehicles and stuff around. Now you watch A Bridge Too Far, they used authentic equipment across the board. I mean, even the parachute drop was not CGI. It was a live drop of over 1,000 paratroopers.
You gotta love stuff like that.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so cool when they do that.
Actually,
17 cameras on that. They did it obviously
17.
in one take.
That's incredible. It's funny.
I'd have a lot of cameras too.
Funny. You should mention A Bridge Too Far, because actually, so I watch movie nights with my community every Saturday night. That was actually one of the movies we watched recently. Shira was there for that.
I love that movie. I watched that movie so
film.
much I can quote lines from that movie.
I still love the one with the Wehrmacht soldier showing up alone with the white flag, and they're like, "We'd happily accept your surrender, but we do not have the facilities to hold you."
My favorite was Horrocks when he shows up and, "Gentlemen, this is a story you will tell your grandchildren, and mightily bored they'll be."
I love the humor of Englishmen. It's great.
They are fantastic in that movie.
King Panzer in my chat said, "Thank you for the Mech Warrior series, Mr. Pardo. I miss FASA."
I miss the good old days of gaming in general.
When you was about having fun and being entertained and not, being on a soapbox.
Yeah. I think I think this pandering to the left and the woke and all this, these fringe groups, is actually going to be the downfall of some of these IPs.
It is. I mean, Star Wars is already dead.
Which one?
Star Wars is already dead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
A pretty good recent example I can think of is the studio Rocksteady, the guys who made the Batman Arkham games. They're probably not going to survive the Suicide Squad release.
Oh, God, no. Oh, no. God.
It's kind of heartbreaking when you think about it,
That game, not only was it woke, it was just bad. It was just a bad... I remember there was a viewer who said, and I quote, he actually wrote this review, he said, "This game is so bad, I want to join a real Suicide Squad."
Okay, look. You get time off your sentence. All right, it's worth it.
Oh, God. So, what are your favorite historical weapons?
Razor Fist, I'll appreciate this. I'm a big fan of the Mauser 96.
Oh, that's a great handgun.
A friend of mine had one when I was a kid. He was an older gentleman. That gun is amazing on so many levels. There's only one screw in that, and it's the screw that holds the wooden handles together. The rest of the gun is literally machined so that it stays together.
So the whole thing is just held together with friction and nothing else?
Yeah, the parts actually interlocks in such a way that...
Crazy!
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a machine pistol, too. So it's just... It's heavy. It's hard as hell to aim the damn thing because I fired one, but God, I love that gun. I'd love to own one of those at some point. When we did, this will blow your mind. When we were doing tenure, Mike Barron and Mike said, "I want the character to have an Accuracy International sniper rifle. So I said, well, okay, we'll write that in. So we wrote it in, and I said, I should probably go down and hold one of these things and see how they operate. And Mike's like, well, that's good because they're manufactured in the town you live in.
Really?
I was like, you're kidding. Fredericksburg, Virginia? He goes, Fredericksburg, Virginia, that's where they build them in the US. So I contacted them and they were like, come on down. And I got to go watch them put one together. I got to hold one.
I think I saw that on your Twitter.
Yeah, I put it up on Twitter. And it's like, I gotta be honest with you. I know it's an expensive $30,000 gun, but I kind of want one.
There's a couple of expensive guns that I want.
There's something about being able to pick off your target at over 750 yards that has some freaking appeal to me.
It does, yeah.
Big guns. Who doesn't like big guns?
And I mean, it's just a phenomenal gun. It's just, it is beautiful in every way, shape, and form, heavy as hell, and I loved it.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun weapon to fire. But I would... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it is. I mean, those guys, it's amazing, too. You can swap out the bolt and the barrel in like less than 2 minutes to change caliber and stuff. That is phenomenal.
That's incredible. That is incredible.
Sick.
That's so cool.
Could you make it fire 22s?
Oh, she said
could fire 22s.
No, I don't think it drops that low.
I remember the one weapon I had the most fun firing while I was in the guard was definitely the Maldus, the Browning 50 cal. That was a lot of fun. Wasn't fun to clean afterwards, but it was fun to fire.
I got a friend who's got a Thompson submachine gun, and that I got to fire a few rounds through that. And that was
that is amazing. I love that gun.
Those are such a cool looking weapon.
Oh, they are.
Aiming it is just a nightmare.
I can imagine with the recoil and everything. I actually have a friend. Go ahead.
No, it is. You're dead right. This recoil screws up your aim on the second shot. You fire that thing full auto, you're just going to be spraying a huge area.
Oh yeah. Actually, a friend of mine, you might like this. He has a they have a modern liquor from World War One, an Austrian one, straight pull bolt. Yeah.
That is cool.
It is, yeah, it is. It was a nice rifle. I didn't get to fire it, but he did let me hold it. And it was a little bit lighter than the M16 that I trained with, but and the M4 that I had in my guard unit, but it was nice. It was a nice rifle. I liked the wood finish was real nice on there. Nice little piece of history. Definitely want to get one myself once I move to Texas.
That's a place for it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anything goes. You can open carry a sword, which is insane.
It's not very practical, though.
Yeah, that's true.
To go through doors.
It's funny. When I went to the Republican convention there, my wife was like, oh, I'm kind of worried your stalker might show up. And I said, in Texas, at a Republican convention, I hope he does. He'll be dead in like 10 seconds,
Walk around.
I guess that's one way to deal with the stalker.
Yeah.
I just was like, I gotta be honest with you. Anybody crazy enough to pull a gun out there and threaten to kill somebody is going to be dead real quick.
I believe that I know there was a couple church shootings that one year, but there was one in Texas where the whole congregation was armed and the guy tried to come in and shoot up the congregation. They all got up, pulled out their concealed carries, shot him, and then continued service and called the cops after.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like something out of a comedy. Oh my God.
Well, it's like there was a guy who was dumb enough in my local neighborhood. He tried to rob a Dunkin' Donuts while there were cops there.
First of all, the
one
cops are
time.
always at Dunkin' Donuts.
That's true.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's a very interesting bit of history behind that. So it used to be that the officers would get free donuts.
Yep.
And that's the reason.
Really?
Because there was a lot of crime that would be in those areas typically, like especially like around donut shops and stuff like that. And so they would give police free donuts so that the police would, be more inclined to stick around in the area or be over there.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember hearing a rumor that like the cookie apparently or the donut got started because of a Pony Express. There was like this favorite pit stop of theirs somewhere out in I think California or Arizona, and it was
I don't know about that. I remember the History Channel did a whole thing on.
Yeah, about a cookie with a hole in it so they could put their finger through it, and
That doesn't sound right.
it sounds too goofy to be true. Yeah. History Channel, sometimes they're very, especially now.
You would be surprised though. Real life is kind of a parody of itself sometimes.
This is true. So wanted to say, so what's your favorite do you have any like favorite tanks or vehicles from history that you enjoy?
I do. And this will sound corny, but I like the Stuart tank and I like the Lee tank. The Grant or Lee, honestly.
The Lee's nice.
Both of them were horribly obsolete by the time they reached the battlefield. They didn't perform well, but they have such a funky look to them. The Stuart I like just because it's a light tank. It was fast. I mean, it's got that 37 millimeter on it. Couldn't do any real damage, but there's just something about that era of those tanks that I really enjoy.
I believe there's actually, I think it was a South American country, but they have a couple Stuarts and they modernized them.
That would be cool.
Oh yeah,
there's
let's see if
you watch the Austrian Armor. The Australian Armor does a weekly video of tank restorations.
Really?
And they did a whole year of restoring a Grant tank, and they just found another one. And it's oh my god,
that's the modernized one, yeah, with the muzzle brake on it. It looks really cool.
That does look cool. But if you go to the Australian Armor YouTube channel, every Wednesday they put it out. They put out the new Grant one this week where they're to clean out the tank. They literally rolled it on its top.
Wow.
It was so full of crap. Yeah, they flipped it upside down to clean it up.
They
didn't roll it over. It's just, it's wild to think of that. You sit there watching it. And that's not supposed to be upside down.
No, not at all. But yeah, that is. I'll have to definitely check that out. You're giving me a good list of things to check out after this.
I watch it every Wednesday. Sometimes it's stupid, but and sometimes they're like working on the transmission of a tank or whatever. But it's still kind of fun to watch for 15 minutes. It's these guys are restoring this armor to make it mobile in most cases.
It's so cool when you have civilians who just casually own tanks.
It is.
Oh,
it is.
Yeah. This is what the Second Amendment is all about.
Now,
that is
kind of reminds me. So, with my community, we've been slowly watching. It's an anime, but apparently, according to a lot of historians who've watched it, they got the tanks down pretty accurately, and the way that armored warfare would work with World War II era tanks. But this is gonna sound like a goofy concept. But it's about a group of different all-girls schools, and they have a made-up sport called tankery, where they use leftover World War II tanks that they restored, and they do mock battles as a sport. Is this what? Yes. Yes, it's a strange concept.
You gotta love Japan.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for throwing that in there. I'm so sorry.
There's so many questions that come out of that.
That,
It's just-
yeah. I mean, it's more comedical.
I invite you to watch that Armor channel, because when you see how much maintenance has to be done on just keeping a tank operational, there is no way you'd be doing any sort of sport driving with one.
No, they would be worn out by the end of it. I mean, the series is meant to be more comedical, but no, I understand. Yeah, there's no way. As cool as that would be, no. No.
Look, it's a series who's made by somebody who just knows what he likes. He likes cute girls.
Yeah.
He also likes tanks.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, his needs in life were very small.
Oh boy. Oh god. But yeah, they would not. Those tanks would not last long, especially some of the things they've done with the tanks. Oh boy. But yeah. So I'm so sorry. So moving on. So what is your favorite historical battler campaign? Would you say?
If I were to pick a battle, I'd go with the Alamo.
The Alamo is
There's
interesting.
something- I like a good last stand. That or the Battle of Rorke's Drift.
That's
from
a good one too.
The movie Zulu, and from the Zulu Wars. If you've never seen the movie Zulu, I recommend it highly. It's not entirely accurate, but it's pretty damn close in many respects. And it's a great movie. I enjoy those types of battles. I like desperate situations, some that prevail, and I like some where they don't win, and
Yeah.
that's cool too.
Sometimes you just gotta watch a good tragedy.
What was one I found really interesting was the campaign where how the Japanese they took Singapore from the British, and how every soldier was issued a bicycle. And what was really interesting, how they got past the rivers, was how each soldier would hold up a plank and they would make a human bridge with them, and they'd stand in that waist-high water while the bikes were riding overhead on top of them. That was incredible. That was really smart.
Okay, so is that what they mean when they say that the bicycle is what toppled the British Empire?
I believe
No.
so. Oh, maybe no.
I don't know. There's a lot of things that brought down the British Empire, mostly the British.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And nothing lasts forever, as they say.
Your favorite
Even
light
Rome
tank
had
is
to
the
collapse.
chaff. Yeah, the chaff was a good one. That was a good tank. But yeah, let's see. I think that's actually about it for all the questions. I know you said you were only able to go for 2.5 hours. You said.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're about at that mark, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So, is there anything else you would like to plug before we wrap up?
No, I appreciate it. You've been most gracious.
Well, thank you for
Yeah,
coming.
I've got so many book series. I encourage people, if you like Land and Sea, we have a Facebook fan page. The fans have put up for it. Same thing with Blue Dawn. It's a great way for you to connect with other fans who enjoy the stuff, and I post up in there as well. Obviously, if you want to talk to me too, reach out to me on Twitter or Facebook. I'm more than happy to join you. I will not, if I can't see what your posts are, I'm not going to accept it, just because I can't tell if you're a crazy person or not.
Which is fair.
That's an
Yeah.
honest place to look at.
Yeah,
That is
I
a
mean,
very honest place
and
to
if
look
you've
at it.
just, there's some wackadoodles out there, but
Oh,
I recommend, yeah, feel free to connect with me in any way that works best for you on social media. I'm happy to answer your questions and stuff.
Yeah, I've actually talked with Mr. Pardoe a few times in DMs and Twitter. Which, by the way, what I just want to ask real quick. What drove you to follow me, if you don't mind me asking? Originally,
you asked good questions, and it was like you were respectful. So I'm like, all right, I'll follow you.
Okay.
You know, I'm not one of these people that's constantly trying to boost myself or anything. It's just, if you're a fan, I'm kind of curious what my fans are into. To be honest with you, I want to know what the fans like and don't like, and the best way to do that right now is social media.
That's the same way I see it as well. Yeah,
it's a very good way to know how to properly, especially as a writer, to know what people are interested in.
Yeah. If anybody would like to read any of Mr. Pardoe's work, I actually, in my chat and Shiroi's chat, I have it pinned. There's a link to his Amazon page there with all of his books available. He also has many of them in audiobook format on Audible as well. So if you're someone who is always on the go and you don't have time to read, the audiobooks are excellent. I've been listening to all of the Blue Dawn audiobooks. I can't remember the narrator's name off the top of my head, but he's excellent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but all of his books have excellent narrators, especially for Land and Sea as well. But yes, thank you so much, Mr. Pardoe. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on. It's been fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been an absolute delight.
I was genuinely surprised when you actually agreed to come on.
I like talking to people who read my stuff, and it's for me, it's a chance to connect with more people, and I think that's always fun.
Oh yeah. There's actually a streamer of a similar format that we do with the characters doing the motion capture. Her name is Whiskey Project. She's actually a big BattleTech fan.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually a couple of people, yeah. But I would definitely check her out. Because I think she does sometimes interview people on there as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Let's see. We're gonna find somebody to raid. I think we're gonna go raid our friend Mr. Jamez. You would actually like Mr. Jamez, so he is actually on a watch list with the ATF because he's been 3D printing guns. Even though they're technically legal.
That's how you know he's a cool guy.
All right, let me see, Mr. Jamez. Get ready for that. Get the raid message going here. Right. All right, thank you so much, Mr. Pardoe. It's been an absolute joy to have you on.
Seriously,
I appreciate it. Thank you again.
All right, thank you all, and have a great week.
Thank you. You as well.
Left of
I have a convention tomorrow, so
that'll be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night, Mr. Pardoe.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a fantastic guy.
Nah, seriously. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna put the thing on there.
Okay, I got the raid message here. Oh, you already got it. Okay, never mind.
You spelled it wrong, by the way.
Oh, did I? Oh,
I'm keeping the misspelling.
Oh, I'm glad you liked Mr. Pardoe, chat. That was very nice of him to come on and agree to do that.
It was very nice of him.
Yeah, I may have weirded him out with yeah, but yeah, I'll see you all later. Live well, laugh often, do good, and die great. I might not stream tomorrow because I have a convention that I'm going to, but I will be back for Saturday for movie night, and I'll be back on Sunday. All right, see you guys.